So here we are, the first of today's two semi-finals. It'll be Hewitt against Spadea. Well, we'll see how Spadea starts. He won the toss, he chose to serve. An important moment in his career, this. Well, at least he can say that he was ahead against Hewitt. So a quiet start by the champion.
Ball, please. Ball,
Well, full marks to Spadea.
Well, a good solid game from Vince Spadea there. One unforced error, but what's unusual is in the locker room we sit and count Leighton Hewitt's unforced errors, and there'll often be like 2 for a tournament. There's 2 in the first game there, so but I think we're going to count that too. It's getting very swirly down there. You can see when you get a shot of it, the wind is really pushing the net, and it's going to make it a difficult match today for the players in terms of timing the ball.
And in a stadium of this shape, inevitably the wind swirls a bit.
It's quite difficult actually, because you can hit 2 balls on the identical line, and one will move one way and one will move the other. And but that's where the experience of these good players who get out there a lot comes to their advantage.
Well, here's an example of depth being important. The ball to the forehand corner of Spadea, forcing him just to push up a fairly weak reply. Well, another unforced error.
Having watched Leighton quite a lot, he's a Davis Cup teammate of mine, he tends in the first few games of a match to really just get a feel for what the other guy is going to do tactically, and he just moves the ball around, works his way into it. He doesn't go for a lot. It's unusual to see him go for a winner like that there.
think Spadea was perhaps a little unlucky there. The ball deep to the baseline looked from here to be long.
Yeah, he said come on, and he's having a bit of a look at the linesman from, I mean, we're a long way away, but that did look like there's a good bit of space. Well, good play from Leighton. Taking the short ball and making Vince Spadea have to take that second hand off the racket. And as soon as he saw he had him stretched, he's following it in. And that's something that I believe that Leighton has to work on a lot, is coming in and finishing more points off at the net, making life a little bit easier for him.
One game.
First ace of the day. Well, a battle of wills going on down there.
Started to sort of chuckle in the middle of that rally. That's just how steel-minded Leighton Hewitt is. He's just going to say he's not going to make an error, and he did. He changed direction, and well done to Vince, because he just stayed in the point. That's what he's going to have to do to compete well with Leighton today.
Support group of Vince, impassive. Scott Davidoff's been coaching him this week. He's had a lot of coaches in his career, has Spadea. And interestingly enough, Todd, when he was going through that bleak patch, he decided to turn to Dr. Pete Fisher, who's a bit of a psychologist, the man who first coached Pete Sampras, and he's been conversing with him daily by phone during this tournament. One ace apiece. That fast, 112 mph. And the errors continue to Spadea's benefit. The American 2-1 ahead in the first set. Well, so far so good.
Yeah, good start for Vince. Leighton just sort of letting him settle in, which is unusual. You don't see that happen too much, but Interesting rally there a couple points ago where both of them just decided, you know, I'm going to wait and see who's the most patient, and Leighton was the one that ended up changing the direction and making the error down the line. And you know, that says a lot about the psychology of Vince at the moment and how much he's improved in his on-court thinking, because he knows that he has to play solid, and he knows that he can't go for too much, but he has to be somewhat aggressive, and he's just feeling out Leighton, see what he's doing out there.
But you've said that he has shown us in the past he has the ability to beat the great players. At Cincinnati in 1998 was the last time he reached a final. He beat Agassi and Krajicek back-to-back. Well, doesn't come much better than that.
No, I mean, he really does play some great tennis.
Time.
So the job on serve has been done well by Spadea. Now he's got to sort out a way of trying to break the switch.
Thank you.
It won't be easy, because that is one of the areas of his game that has improved most.
Certainly the difference for Leighton in the last 2 years where he's been able to get to #1 is how many extra free points he gets off his serve than he got when he was sort of 17, 18 and just coming onto the tour.
One way.
And I would say, JB, if there's one end of the court today where players are going to struggle holding serve, it's the end that Leighton is on right now, because he's serving into quite a heavy breeze.
Well played.
Well, Leighton drawing his opponent into the net here. Good moving by Vince, and covered the cross-court well with a lovely drop volley, but just good reading of the court. Well played.
So just a sniff of a chance here. Love 30.
15.
Well, just what you were saying.
Yeah, exactly. That's where he's been able to get 3 points. And when he was sort of 19, 20 years old, he didn't really have that. And he also used to serve the odd double or two on a bigger occasion. He's cut that out, and then he's also been able to bring in a 118 mile per hour first serve ace.
Very interesting, this. Slightly tentative start by the defending champion. And the first 2 break points of the match. And he's got his break. Lovely return of serve, largely responsible, very deep.
Well, Vince is playing pretty smart right now. He's hitting the ball just at a nice pace and not going for too much. And a lot of players, when they play Leighton Hewitt, really sort of go for too much. They cut it too fine to the line, and Leighton actually likes a target and likes pace. And Vince is just hitting a nice smooth ball at the moment, and he's making Leighton have to make decisions on what he wants to do, and he's drawn the unforced errors. again. Now Leighton really feeling that he has to try to force something here, and he comes in. The approach shot was nice and deep, but he was far too back to be following that one in.
Accuracy today is impeccable. Finding here just enough top spin here to dip the ball onto the line, just inside it in fact. Lovely racket hit control. Rush of blood to the head there.
Yeah, that was a big second serve. Not really necessary at that stage. Well, this was a beautifully constructed point. Leighton Hewitt moving Vince Spadea around the court a lot more than he had been, and opening the court with a down-the-line forehand perfectly in the corner, but was the shots early in that rally that set up that play for Leighton.
Well, fairly significant that he would make an error, having fought his way back from 30 love Spadea to 30 all. That's an unusual stat.
Sure is. Normally you'd expect to see that the other way around in a match with Leighton Hewitt contending.
Quick as he is, Hewitt unable to get the last one over the net. A marvellous start by the Americans. It's 4-1 for Spadea. Well, I'm just wondering if Hewitt perhaps took this a little bit lightly. It isn't like him.
Well, I think JB, he's not really sure of how he needs to play against Vince. It's been so long since he played against him. He has a win over him. He really just needs to come out and be a little bit more aggressive. I think you saw the point where he moved Vince around, hit a great forehand up the line. I think that's the type of play he needs to do more. He's just been filling him out, playing backhand, cross-court. Vince is the type of player that I think you've got to mix up. You've got to throw in a few slices. You have to get him moving. You have to take him out of his little comfort zone. And right now, Leighton's just been playing comfortable tennis to Vince, and he doesn't feel threatened.
Because a lot of the players are saying how slow the courts are. I remember in the days of cement courts, they used to be in California, the old days of the Pacific Southwest and the Pacific Coast tournament in LA and in San Francisco. They used to be darn fast, but today it seems they're a little quicker, a little slower rather. So this question of court speed, are they playing slow?
Time.
What I would say that's happened in the last few years, JB, is the fact that we've slowed the ball down. I think the court surface is actually the same, But here at the Pacific Life Tournament this week, for instance, we've got the men and women both here. The men use a much heavier ball and heavy-duty ball, as we call it, compared to the women. And that certainly has slowed the game up significantly and has allowed... well, actually, what I don't like about that is it's actually stopped serve volleyers, you know, developing into good players, and we don't see as much net rushing as we used to. This is a sort of point, JB, I said I think Leighton's going to have to step up and play a little bit more. Dictate the play, but he's got to dictate it by moving Spadea from side to side, and then on like that occasion, wrong footing him, going behind him.
Quite a happy hunting ground here in Indian Wells for Leighton Hewitt. He's playing here for the 6th time. 16 wins, 4 losses, and the champion.
Hewitt.
And this is going to change records. So 4 games to 2 now.
This is a big game, this set right now. This is the toughest end to hold serve on.
First point of any game at this stage, important. So a little psychological edge for Hewitt.
I mentioned just a little bit earlier when guys play against Leighton, they feel they have to hit the ball hard to penetrate and get it through him, and that's a sign there that Leighton actually
He could have played it, could have attempted to play it. Error of judgment here from Hewitt. Not a bad approach. It could have been a little bit deeper to give Spadea less time, but he controlled it so well.
He definitely did have a play on it though, JB. And what I was trying to say, the point before, was that Leighton likes to have pace. That's when he plays his best, when guys hit it harder at him. And Vince is playing very smart right now.
Well, the error count is mounting horribly. 11 now for Hewitt. Only 5 for his opponent. Well, I think it was going out.
Yeah, definitely. Could be very costly, but it's a reflex action there. Look here. It was a good shot by Leighton. It was going in, but then as it's caught the tape, that was definitely going to be an out ball. Brings it back to deuce and a big point.
Hewitt.
Well, that unforced error from Vince Spadea brings up the first break point for Leighton Hewitt. And just a sign, JB, of Vince thinking about the situation right now. He's let out a couple of screams.
Well, he's made the first break.
New ball
Of Spadea's serve. Patience personified. Spadea still ahead by the odd game, 4-3. Well, he's going to look back on that volley, the reflex volley of the ball that hit the net tonight, if he loses this match.
And that's all it takes in a situation like this, is just against a guy like Leighton. He senses that you kind of get a little nervous or you're starting to think about it. He gets one break, a lucky break like that, where Vince has hit a reflex that's going out, wins the point, and then he's on it.
Looking at the last point, the concentration is absolutely secure. He's not going to take an unnecessary risk. He's playing with plenty of margin for error. He's going to wait for the moment when he can force.
And what he did do well again on this point is he waited for the moment, got the right ball, hit the forehand up the line, and got Vince to take, well, got him out of position basically, but also got him to have to take that second hand off the double-handed backhand with a slice, and he wasn't able to control it back in the court.
Time.
Well, there's the reaction to winning the last point and securing the first break of the Spadea serve. A little bit overcast here at Indian Wells Tennis Garden for the semi-final day of Pacific Life Open. The defending champion, Leighton Hewitt, is catching up. 1-4 down, still behind, but they're back on serve.
Leighton's serving with new balls here. Change of balls at 7 and 9 games. Big advantage, as I said. It's tougher end for serving that he's at right now, but with new balls you can get a little bit more zip on it, gets through the court quicker.
And the same is true of returns.
Certainly is. It wasn't a bad serve either.
It's a little bit rude, isn't it? Returning the champion serve, the clean winner.
Especially after I made a comment like that.
15.
Great play again there, JB. Opening up the court with a backhand down the line and then hitting the forehand down the line again. And that's a shot that the two-handers have brought to the game, is having the ability on the backhand to hit it down the line and open up the court. Very difficult to do with a one-handed backhand.
And next shot, Gustavo Kier.
Yeah, he's about the only one, I think, out there that can do it. No, my slice isn't quite that effective.
Well, we've reached a critical moment. He hasn't yet caught up, remember. Yes, he's got the break back, but he's 3-4, and this 15-30, a very big point right here. Well, he won't get that.
But I thought for a moment, JB, that when he got this ball here, he was almost going to let it bounce, but he did the right thing, taking it there with a swinging drive volley and setting up an easy winner here. You always, for the young players out there watching it, take note of the footwork. Even on that easy ball there, Leighton's feet are hustling and moving, getting into position. It's just fantastic to watch.
And the last two vital points, both first serves went in, both were deep, not trying for an ace.
That one was a good speed on that one though, JB, at 122 miles per hour.
So the serve improved very much over the last couple of years, takes him ahead, or rather brings him level at 4-all, and keeps him in the hunt. Just a change of bat here. Well, I didn't notice a string breaking, but maybe the one was nearly breaking.
You often find players change rackets when there's been a ball change too, and he missed it on that. He didn't change when the new ball's for his service game, but perhaps he feels that he needs a little bit tighter because the balls are a little bit quicker. That's what players tend to do. Not happy with himself there. I think he's thinking, you know, Spadea is not known as a great volleyer. In a situation like that, you've got to at least make him hit one more shot and hit a volley and win the point outright.
With this.
On the 17th stroke of the rally, he decides to change direction and does it well.
Chose the right one. He was in good position. Leighton Hewitt was still way over on the other side of the court, expecting him to go back cross court.
He's picking the spot.
Look at, he's choosing the right ball. Once again, this one didn't have a lot of pace on it. It was mid-court. He had good position, and he saw his target, and he went for it.
Well, a terrific service game from Vince Spadea, and Scott Davidoff and his team there absolutely thrilled with that 5-4 lead first set. Well, it was an intelligent game, but as you pointed out, this end serving is the easy one, relatively. And I think both players will, continue to struggle from the far end.
Exactly. And what I said there was what Vince did well was when he'd hit a good aggressive shot and Leighton came off his length, he really didn't do a lot with the ball, put it in the middle of the court, and that's the ball that Vince has to hit and go for. And he's been choosing that very well so far. And that was a good game, from 4-1 up back to 4-all. Could have been easy to make a couple of unforced errors or go for too much. He didn't. He was patient. He played the point smart, and thus had an easy game and leads 5-4.
Used to travel with his dad, Vince Senior, former opera singer who still sings at some of the player parties and plays the piano too. He's very popular.
Yeah, in the hotel lobbies after a long day at the tennis, he's often in there, and he's got hold of the piano and he's singing along. He's actually quite entertaining. It's good to listen to. But actually a good move, I think, for Vince actually to not have his parents around for a while, and it seems to be working for him.
So Hewitt has to play catch-up once again. He's been doing that the whole set since he lost his serve to go 3-1 down. He broke back for 4-all and now 4-5. That wasn't in the script. First double fault.
No, the one thing that you have to do when you're serving downwind is you have to give plenty of height and extra spin, and that one was a little low. You can't hit the ball as flat as you would as if you were serving into the wind. You have to hit more of a kick serve.
That is an uncharacteristic miss.
It's actually the style of tennis that worried Leighton Hewitt when Yunus Elanawi beat him in Australia and should have really beaten him here in the first round this week. He uses the forehand very well coming into the backhand, just like Vince did then, and Leighton tends to pass cross court. And on that occasion there wasn't a lot of gap and he had to push too hard to find it. Couldn't.
Very crucial moment indeed. Love 30 it had been. Just forced to play it a little bit quicker than he wanted to. One of your cheap points.
Yeah, another good first serve. And that's the difference for Leighton, is he gets more of those than he used to.
Yeah, Hewitt.
Well, that was a smart game from Love 30. The serve,
5.
the serve, and the consistency quite secure.
Well, it's only a game of inches, really, isn't it? At Love 30, Spadea hit a backhand up the line that was going to win the point, and it misses by probably about 3 inches, and he's hit it beautifully, picked his target and just missed. And Love 40, I think he probably wins that set. Well, good point, but what Vince Spadea did very well here was he managed to get the ball back down below the net and make Leighton Hewitt volley up, and he wasn't up to the task with the drop volley. JB, if you can't pass and hit a clean winner, the next best option is to get the ball back down below the net. A great thing for young players to take note of. You don't have to get out there and hit a screamer every time.
Well, a lot of muttering goes on with Leighton Hewitt. Not all of it the sort of thing you'd like the vicar to hear.
Well, the sort of first sign, I think, of a little bit of nerves from Vince Spadea.
This time we hear the bleep. Carlos Bernardes has it turned up. I just wish that it would be a little more public, that bleep, so we could all realise it was a let. Well, the most important point of the match so far. 5-all, 30-all, doesn't get much closer than that. And typically, Hewitt finding the right moment to force. And we had the first come on after it. Very brave, Spadea.
Good point, Leighton. I think could have been a touch more aggressive during that rally. He was just content in moving the ball around, and I think he should have stepped up and maybe had a crack at it and put a bit of pressure on Vince earlier in that point. He allowed Vince just to keep playing and stay in there, and he was up to the task.
to Spadea.
Well, Leighton's not going to be happy with that. That's a pretty bad time to make an unforced error on a second serve.
Oh, no. Well, he took it early. That was excellent tactics, but couldn't quite control it. Little shake of the head there, yes. Well, as he so often does, he's wearing Spadea down.
Yeah, just starting to push Spadea a little bit deeper off of the baseline and then get him moving. And that one there, he had to go for a winner. He'd drawn him out of the court, and that lowers the percentage, and he hits a bad shot.
Played Spadea. Hewitt down, but I don't think he's hurt. But a great point.
Well, we talk about getting the ball down if you can't hit a pass. Leighton did it perfectly, and a bit of luck from the net cord. But most players wouldn't have got this ball. That's just the foot speed of Leighton Hewitt is incredible. And you could never say that he doesn't try, could you? Back to Juice.
Perfect anticipation. He's read the book on Hewitt here.
Yeah, passes cross-court off the backhand, read the down the line, and a well-executed short cross-court volley. It really takes Leighton straight out of the point then. If you volley that one deep, you give him another opportunity for a pass. Good play.
He's held, saving a break point in the process. One of the most competitive games we've seen so far, and it's Spadea ahead, 6-5. Well, full of good things, that game.
Great tennis. You know, there's one thing, JB, that I'd love to see Leighton Hewitt do a little bit more, and is when he gets a chance like that, is be a touch more aggressive. He was more content to just keep moving the ball around and rolling it around when he got his break points. You know, he had a second serve on one of those. He could have stepped in, hit it, perhaps not a chip charge, but just taken a little bit more initiative in putting pressure on Vince to have to go for a shot. And you know, it's something that I think Jason Stoltenberg's going to have to work on to sort of help Leighton get shorter matches and win quicker.
One has seen that with players whose instinct is to stay at the back of the court and rally and never make mistakes, which is the way is where he came from. When things get close, they tend to revert to their comfort zone.
Exactly. But the thing for Leighton Hewitt is he's a world-class volleyer. He's got good technique. He can hit every volley that he needs to hit, and he just needs to take advantage of that.
And he's played some good doubles. You have to volley well in doubles. So.
Absolutely. I've played in some Davis Cup with him.
Time.
And the shield you see beneath the name of Leighton Hewitt is the shield of Indian Wells, because he is the reigning champion here. And that is a Tennis Masters Series shield, you see. Rather a nice touch that for every tournament they've won at that level, on their courtside banner, the shields appear.
Two quick, cheap points for Leighton Hewitt.
Really, it is rather worrying for the Hewitt camp that so many unforced errors have occurred today.
So Jason Stoltenberg just chatting about that.
19 so far.
We probably have that many in the last 3 matches.
Wouldn't be too bad if he was hitting 29 winners, but he's hit only 6 on the forehand, 2 on the backhand. He's missed. Well, a great point from both men here. Spadea with a chance to kill it on the overhead. Couldn't quite get back in time to make a really telling smash and just forcing the ball, pushing the ball wide on the forehand. Well, that was a distinct chance for him.
Again, Hewitt.
So here we go into the Russian roulette of a tie-break. Always a chancy thing at the best of times. And if we look at their records this year, they're both negative ones. Hard to believe that, isn't it?
Well, I think 2 of those for Leighton Hewitt came in the Elanaui match at the Australian Open, where he lost in 4 sets.
Well, you can't do anything about those.
1-0.
Boy, Well, that's what you need. You need a little bit of luck in these circumstances. It was going to be a good shot, but Leighton Hewitt was certainly going to get a racket on it. And this, look at that, will you? No chance at all. Beautiful shot here. You see Vince Spadea just dropping it on the service line and Leighton Hewitt moving up on it quickly and using that down the line shot, the one I talked about earlier in the set, which I think is the most effective in opening up the court. First sign of something a little rash. I mean, he really went after that return. He hasn't been doing that the whole set, so you got to ask, what's he thinking right now when he's trying to hit a clean winner at 1-all in the tiebreak when that's been against his game plan so far.
An 18-stroke rally. 2-1. Hewitt just over-pressing on another of those lifeless balls, making the point that he prefers pace.
He doesn't like to generate his own pace. Either player making a first serve so far in the first 5 points.
3-2. Hewitt.
Well, a little bit of tension creeping in. 3 double faulties served today.
Well, a telling factor right now, JB, is that Leighton Hewitt's ahead 4-2, and he's had the worst part of the end. So he's got to be feeling pretty good about the fact that he's now coming up, be playing downwind, is to his advantage once again.
Such a great match player he's proved himself to be these last few years. Timing his effort. Exactly the right moment in matches. With his 5th ace. brave thing to do, to play the drop shot on a hard court against the fastest man in the world. But it worked.
Just amazing wheels on Leighton. I mean, this was a great drop shot. He still manages to make it, only just. And hasn't had to hit any lobs so far today, and this one down breeze pushed it long.
And the second shriek of "come on," the hallmark of this man when he's fighting for his life in a match. He's now got 3 set points. Wonderful rally in which there were 2 doubtful calls, a return of serve and one of Hewitt's across to the Spadea backhand line. Neither called, and they both played on without complaint.
And Jason just saying it was a well-played point. I think I played it too well. He was aggressive, what I talked about earlier, and I like that. And I think he could have easily have drawn an error from Vince there.
Set point number 2. Well, he's human. Only his second double fault of the day. Not quite the moment he would have wanted it. And the American crowd now beginning to get behind Spadea. Third set point. What a pity for Spadea.
By 7 games to 6.
The brilliant set should end in such a way. His 4th double fault, and the first set, after an hour and 5 minutes, goes to Hewitt.
At the baseline over there.
6-2, boy, 6-3.
And of course he was just chastising the umpire for missing the 2 calls in the last game.
Yeah, well, I think he could have chastised him about the one up his end, and Vince could have done it for the one down his end at the same time. But got a great shot there of Leighton Hewitt. You can see how hard he's trying. He's got skin off his knee, blood on the knee.
Well, there are the stats. Todd, what do they tell us?
Well, that was a pretty tight set all round. I think Vince Spadea actually had the upper hand. Obviously led 4-1, but I think he played slightly better tennis. And when it came down to it at the end, there 2 double faults in the tiebreaker proved the real telling factor. One on the set point, but one earlier in the tiebreak as well. And he'd served well up until then. His percentage was at 48 for the set, but it had been much higher for predominantly most of the set. Just shows once again, you know, I spoke in the intro about absorbing disappointment against Leighton Hewitt, and that's just what he's done again. You know, Vince has got to come out now and still be positive and think that he can win the next 2 sets. And it's probably highly unlikely, and Leighton's worn him down, and we'll just see how he comes back after that. He's played a great set of tennis and ends up with a double fault on it, so it's going to be tough for Vince to keep positive.
And what an amazing man he's proved to be. The 22-year-old world #1.
Time.
Just a brief pause to freshen up before the start of the second set. And the timing of his effort again was perfect.
I'm quite lucky, JB, in the fact that I'm on the Davis Cup team for Australia with Leighton Hewitt right now, and to have an opportunity to be so close to a world #1 in his prime, I haven't had that before. And one of the things that I've really noticed about being with him in the locker room and him playing his matches is he does not believe that he can lose. He honestly does not think that every time he walks out on the court that he's going to lose a match. He has respect for his opponents, but he just thinks that he's better than them.
What a great attitude. Here's the start of the second set.
15.
And the perfect start. Ace number 6.
Game Hewitt. First game.
Fairly convincing start to the second set, beginning with an ace and then did nothing wrong.
Well, a couple of shots there where Vince sort of went for a little more on the return, and this is the time now where he has to really knuckle down and stay with Leighton. He's got to stay in the first few games of this set. If he gives him a little bit of a free start here, it's all over and he'll be all over in a hurry. Mentally, you've got to be so strong, and the first couple of points are the real key to this game. If he could get a free point, that's a bonus, but if he doesn't, he's got to work hard and make sure that he gets the first 1 or 2 points.
When somebody is smashing against you, you either have to stand your ground or go to the gap. Spadea decided to stay.
Sorry, JB, 2 good lobs though. He really threw them up high, and as we talked about, it's very windy. It's not easy to smash today.
15.
Leighton's starting to draw a few unforced errors now.
Yes, he's wearing him down. It's a bit like playing against a brick wall most of the time, if you're playing Hewitt.
I'm not going to be happy with that. That's a pretty basic, simple error. It's a slow second serve onto the forehand on break point. Doesn't come any easier. He's a funny fella. You'd think he'd really chastise himself about that time. He just lets that one go.
Hewitt.
Well, the error count is becoming a little serious now for Spadea. But he was patient enough there. The noise of the helicopter overhead had been a bit intrusive.
That's 2 points, Leighton. Trying to change the direction and go up the line, which is the right play, but he just hasn't been able to control it. You just can't give that easier point to Leighton Hewitt at this stage of a match. You've got to make him either work for it or win it. You just can't give an unforced error at this stage. Well, beautiful drop shot. Brought him in, had plenty of time to pass wherever he wanted, and Vince just not really able to cover. Leighton had too many options then.
Got him.
Hewitt.
And despite the unforced errors in the middle of the game, the champion getting the early break in the second set.
JB, it's just what we talked about on the break and coming out. There's just that little bit of a letdown from the fact that you didn't win the first set and you've played a good set. And you had a game point in that game, made a very simple backhand error, and that's just the type of thing that makes the difference between, you know, winning a match like today and getting your ranking higher and staying where you are.
Talking of points, Spadea has moved already into the top 11 on the race, and if he had won today, or if he still wins today, he will join Leighton Hewitt at 110 on number 7. The sort of play you want to see more from him.
Exactly. Look, his lovely technique on a volley. You know, one-hander. This is where he has the ability. As a two-handed backhand, he has an exceptionally good slice backhand and a good one-handed backhand. Something, if I was going to start again in my career, I would like to do is have the two-hander, but back it up with a one-handed approach shot and a one-handed backhand volley.
Point we make, because some years ago, I remember when open tennis was in its early stages, Pancho Segura once said to me, you know, with all this money coming into the game, we're going to get a player developed who will be able to play both sides with either hand, left hand or right handed, single handed and double handed. Hasn't quite happened yet, but it might.
The advantage about the double-handed backhand, particularly on today's courts that are quite bouncy and with a lot of topspin where the ball can bounce up, is that the shoulder height ball on the backhand with the two hands becomes so much easier than when you have the single-hand backhand.
Just upping the tempo a bit.
Doing very well here too in this match when Leighton wrong foots or goes behind Vince Spadea. On that occasion getting the easy volley, but he's been winning the majority of points when he manages to put the ball back behind Spadea.
Unforced errors here. Hewitt more than Spadea in set 1. Spadea now committing more in the second set. So the half-court ball, meat and drink for Hewitt, for anybody really. That's what all players try to create, the chances from mid-court. What a good length from Spadea there. Skidded off the line, I think, that one. Well, they'll be pretty pleased, I think. Well, he did well to get the first one back.
Game, Hewitt. New balls, please. Hewitt leads me.
So Hewitt beginning to crank it up now. 3-love, second set. Well, Todd, we've talked about the fact that Spadea here has been consulting with Dr. Pete Fisher, who of course was Sampras' coach in the beginning. And it's interesting to see on his serve now that he lifts the toe, Sampras style, when he prepares to serve. Here it is. And then the twist.
Yeah. Probably, I think, a little bit too much twist, but a lot of players do the toe thing, and what they see there, what it's to try to do, I think, is to relax the body a little bit and to tilt the body weight back on the back foot so that they get all the weight back, and then they can use all the big muscles to get forward and up into the ball.
A change of shirt on this more humid day than we've experienced so far this week, probably a sensible thing to do. A nice playing with a clammy garment around you. And Hewitt, that scoreline looking as if this has become a perambulation for him, just an easy ride, but it isn't always so. When you see a scoreline 3-love, it hasn't been that easy, has it?
No, but then these last 3 games have been somewhat easier for Leighton. What I did notice, particularly in that last game, was Vince decided he has to step it up and hit harder, and that's not the way to beat Leighton. Leighton wants you to hit harder, and he wants to have a bit more of a target in that sense, and he can generate more power when you hit it harder at him.
These are the new balls. Ouch. Brutal return here, and good footwork.
Kind of loosening up a little bit here. I think he feels like he can start going for a lot more, and he's, particularly from those first opening games of the match where he made unforced errors, now he's sort of going for winners and they're going in.
Love 14.
Well, he's played really very well in this match, and yet hasn't got a lot to show for it.
This is where Leighton can be one of the nastiest players out there. He's not going to give you a point at this stage. He's not going to give anything for nothing.
Hewitt.
And the volleyer in him coming to the fore
Hewitt leads by 4 games.
in this last point. From his end, we'll see it. Beautiful technique, getting down low, firm wrist, and the angle of the racket face absolutely right.
And a great time now, JB, for Leighton to experiment a little bit with what I've talked about, and that was that type of point. You know, it wasn't a great approach, but Vince still had to hit a great shot. He didn't, and Leighton hits a good volley winner. And when I say experiment, you've got to try to do these things in matches. It's no good doing it on the practice court all the time.
How true this is.
15
And a set, and you know, a set, a break, and love 40. It's a perfect opportunity to do it.
I remember your great countryman Lou Hode, one of the greatest champions of all time in the mid-50s, came first to Europe with a slice backhand and gradually added the topspin backhand in practice, then took it into matches until it became one of the great backhands in world tennis.
Starting to lose a little bit of belief in himself here right now, Vince Spadea. I don't believe he sees a way to get through Hewitt.
There's that relentlessness about him. Well, he's won the last 9 points.
Okay, Hewitt.
And so he marches on. 5-love now in the second set. When you get behind against a man who loves to play from the front, well, as you were saying, there's not much left.
No, and I've mentioned it a couple of times already today, or something small, but in Davis Cup practice is the same way. And you're playing a practice set, and I don't play a lot of singles anymore these days, and the fact that you're out there playing singles, he doesn't want to give me a point. I think I'm made to, you know, free up a little bit, but that's, you know, he practices the way he plays. And it's important when you are playing to get into good habits, and he has excellent practice habits.
And you have some good examples in your country. Roy Emerson, who was here this week, I was having a chat with him, was just the same in practice. He would try for every ball, and it's a way of improving his training, improving his fitness.
Exactly. It really does make a difference that when you're out on the court, if your body's used to being in position, your footwork's good, it's just second nature when you get out on the match court then.
Well, second nature for Leighton Hewitt is winning, and today he's within sight of another win. It's been an impressive turnaround, this, by the world number one, who was in trouble in the first set, 4-1 down, remember, and found a way, as seemingly he always can. Still trying to win his first game in this second set, Spadea.
15 Bob, please. 15.
Just the suggestion of a few raindrops in the air. Of course, we're all hoping the fine weather will continue, but it's been raining in Los Angeles this morning heavily. It's just a question of whether it comes across the mountains. Another of those mental battles won again by Hewitt. That got a few harsh words.
I think if he's feeling raindrops, he's looking forward to getting off the court in this game, not having to serve it out.
Game, Spadea.
Well, I'm glad for Spadea because he's worth more than that scoreline, really. Played awfully well today. But up against, I'm afraid, a man who beats most opponents most of the time. Serving for the match. Uses that slider well, doesn't he?
Beautifully placed serve, that one. That one was halfway between the net and the service line. That's the key to that, is you don't want to hit that one deep, you've got to bring it up the line short. With a cutting slice spin.
Always adjusting the strings in his racket. I keep wondering if he's going to wear out his fingers.
Creature of habit, Leighton Hewitt. If you watch him closely, he actually does the same routine almost between every point. That includes the hat, the strings, the vibrator in the strings, flipping of the chain, then the shirt, and then we're ready. And it's an incredible routine that he has.
So another of those heavy first serves, not an ace, 113 miles an hour. It was enough to force the error and the first match point.
Game, set, match, Hewitt. 2 shots to love. 7-6. 6-1.
Well, the champion is still there to fight for the title again tomorrow. It was a performance of fluctuating standards. He didn't start very well, but he found a way from 1-4, and that's all you need to do.
Well, it was a typical Hewitt match. It was a little bit of a slow start. I was surprised to see that start today. He really didn't take it up to Vince, but Vince played well. He looked confident, relaxed, got to 4-1, and then typically Leighton Hewitt, he just sort of found a way to get back into the match, and then the key for me was the tiebreaker and the 2 double faults served by Vince Spadea in that, and then he really wasn't able to regroup when he came out to start the second set. But a wonderful tournament for him, semi-finals of a Masters Series. It does a lot for his ranking, a lot for his confidence, and he'll be able to move on and continue to play well throughout this year from this performance this week.
He'll be at number 11 in the race when the next week's points are announced. So that is a big career step for him. And I think really Hewitt has found a way of doing just enough all the time in his career. And these are the stats that contain just enough. Too many unforced errors, but in the end he found a lot of winners.
He did, and a lot of those came in the second set. And as I talked about, I want Leighton to try to, well, personally I'd like Leighton to get to the net much more, and he did, particularly in the second set, and finished off match point with a wonderful drop volley. And that's the type of thing, it helps him win a set 6-1. After a tight first set, he walks away, he gets to the locker room a lot quicker, and he can, it creates longevity for him in his career, I believe.
An extraordinary man he is, Leighton Hewitt. The 22-year-old world number 1 is in tomorrow's final. Well, you know, Todd, watching Leighton there, the thing that struck me is his intensity. When it really matters, he is so able to focus 101%. And he's through for the second year in a row to the Pacific Life Open final.
Yeah, I would say, JB, watching him play this week, I've watched most of his matches. I don't think he's playing as well as he can. Today was good for him. I've seen him play a lot better, but you talk about doing what you have to do, and that's what this guy is best at. I don't think he's the best technical player or the best hitter of the ball out on the circuit, but he is the number 1 in the head. And that's really what it all comes down to at this level, is how mentally you can come out day after day and perform and put yourself on the line, and he puts himself 100% on the line every time he plays.
So Todd, it's been very nice of you to join us for this first semi-final. Thank you for that, and I suppose you'll be off soon to Miami for the NASDAQ 100 Open, where we shall be, of course. We'll see you there, will we?
Of course, that's my next stop. A couple of days here to stay in the desert. It's a beautiful place. I've got my family with me this week, so I'll be spending a few days of practice, maybe a round of golf, and then head down to Miami.
It's a tough life.
It is a tough life. Well, thank you very much for having me with you today, JB. It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Thanks very much.